Good afternoon to all the BPC first year students. So, I think you are very much serious onto your IPE preparation now. So, if you look into our playlist, so far we have completed all the long answer type of questions, short answer type of questions will be completed by today's session, and we will begin with VSAQs by exercising for EAP set and NEET. As I am telling you from beginning that don't deviate from the preparation of EAP set and NEET. Don't just think like IPE preparation is of different track and the objective preparation, that is for NEET and MSET, is of different track. Nothing like that. Whatever you are learning, learn it with the fullest potential, learn the complete concept and be ready both for the subjective and objective pattern of answering is what I am telling you from beginning. Okay. So, now as we are exercising VSAQs from today's session, we will parallelly practice the objectives of NEET and MSET as well. Okay. So, if we look into the last set of short answer type of questions from Ecological Adaptation, Succession and Ecological Services, very important questions these are. Many a times we got short answer type of questions from this chapter only targeting morphological and physiological adaptations of xerophytes and hydrophytes. So, we will look into that clearly now. Look into the first question. Enumerate the morphological adaptations of xerophytes. Appeared in February, March 2024, 2022 and 2021. So, if you see here morphological adaptations of xerophytes, xerophytes are plants that thrive in water deficient conditions. Okay, they will survive in what conditions? Water deficient conditions. To survive extreme drought and minimize water loss, they develop special structural features. Okay, they will develop special structural features like this. The morphological adaptations include roots. What are the morphological adaptations? First, roots are long and deep for maximum absorption of water and minerals. Remember that. Okay, roots are long and deep and extensively they are branched for maximum water absorption. Okay, and root hairs and root caps are well developed to penetrate into the soil. So, first you will describe about roots, then stem adaptations, and then leaf, and then you will come up to epidermis. You can go vice versa also when you are explaining, like first about epidermis, then about leaves, types of leaves, then about stem, adaptations of stem, and then about root. Okay, it is up to your comfort, but you will memorize easily in a sequence, either from roots to the epidermis or from epidermis to root. Fine, right, ma? And then if you see what is the adaptation of stem in xerophytes, stem are stunted, woody and hard to resist heat and dryness. They are stunted, woody and they are hard to resist heat and dryness. Some stems will become succulent and fleshy for water storage, for example, opentia. Okay, and stems are covered with thick bark and cuticle. They are covered with thick bark and cuticle or hairs to reduce transpiration. Next, phylloclads here will be green and flattened stems. They have what is a phylloclad adaptation? We have learned in morphology also, right? They have green and flattened stems which perform photosynthesis. These are phylloclads. For example, what are the best examples we can give? Cactus and opentia, right? And then leaves are very small, scale like, needle like, which will minimize water loss. They will minimize water loss. In some, if you see, in some leaves are modified to spines and thorns. For example, opentia, thick epidermis with waxy coating. This will prevent desiccation. Okay, they will prevent desiccation. Some plants will secrete mucilage. This will retain water during drought. Okay, plants will secrete mucilage. They will retain water during drought conditions. Okay, and then if you see, these are what plants which secrete mucilage. They will retain water during drought conditions. These are the points that you have to remember for what, ma? To describe the morphological adaptations of xerophytes with a standard diagrammatic view. Okay, diagram first you keep it as reference and then go on explaining. First about root hairs, stem, phylloclads, leaf. Okay, and sunken stomata is must explained thing, and leaves are reduced to what? Scales and spines. Okay, scale like or needle like, which will minimize what? Water loss, and they will prevent the process of transpiration. In some, leaves are modified to spines, and then most importantly the waxy coating of cutin that you have to mention in the epidermis, which will prevent the process of transpiration. Till here it is clear, right ma? And then you see, enumerate the morphological adaptations of hydrophytes which is appeared in 2022. Here if you see, roots are absent, they are poorly developed, or they will reduced since water and minerals are abundant in hydrophytes, right. In submerged species, leaves will perform root functions. Best example is Salvinia. In whichever possible way, when you are describing a point, make sure or mandatory that you are giving out an example, because examples will always make your answer impressive. Okay, and remembering examples will always be an add-on for your MCET and NEET. Okay, that is how you have to prepare beta. And then, yeah, amphibious plants. Amphibious plants, best example you can take is ranunculus, right? Amphibious plants in mud have weak and short roots. You can take mosses as an example, and root caps are generally absent due to reduced friction in the water. And if you see Pistia, root pockets will replace root caps for balance. Pistia and Ecornia, which are examples of what? Offset, right? Where at each node you will see tuft of roots and rosette of leaves. Roots if present, those roots will be fibrous, adventitious and unbranched, reduced in length. Roots are reduced in length. And stems are long, slender and they are flexible to resist water currents. Stems are long and flexible which will resist water currents. Floating plants will have spongy or hollow stems for buoyancy. Example is Ecornia. Okay, best example is Ecornia. Leaves are thin, ribbon-like in submerged plants, but they are flat and wax coated in floaters. They are flat and wax coated in floaters. Example you can take is Nymphia. Wherever possible, highlight the examples all the time and read the answer with examples, because examples are always an add-on for your exam. Fine, right? Next, aerenchymatous tissue, which is very important. Parenchyma, which have large air sacs inside them, is called as aerenchyma. Aerenchyma in hydrophytes is mainly useful for what? Buoyancy. So, aerenchyma tissue develops in stem, roots and petioles, aiding what? Buoyancy and gaseous exchange. So, these are the morphological adaptations of hydrophytes. You are clear with this, right? Roots and about submerged species, amphibious plants, about root pockets, stem, most importantly aerenchyma. Highlight the examples of Salvinia, about leaf performing root functions, and about ranunculus of amphibious plants, and about Vallisneria, about stems which are long and slender like, and Ecornia which has spongy or hollow stems for buoyancy, and Nymphia which has leaves which are adapted to thin ribbon like structures. Okay. So, this is what you have to give and provide a standard diagrammatic view. Take the example of Pistia for diagram, which will be useful. Okay. So, this is about the morphological adaptations of hydrophytes. Now, we will move with write a brief account on classification of xerophytes. We know xerophytes are classified into three main categories. One is ephemeral, second succulents and third is non-succulents. Whenever they are in your questions, be it long answer type or short answer type of questions, whenever they are asking you to have a comparative analysis or asking you the differences, remember all the time that you have to give a comparative analysis in a tabulated form. Okay, because tabulated form will give you more accurate answer. Okay, whenever in the question they are asking you to evaluate differences or asking you for comparative analysis, make sure you are describing the answer in the tabulated form, because tabulated form will make your answer more accurate. Okay. So, here if you see classification of xerophytes. Xerophytes are plants which are adapted to survive in habitats with scarce water supply. Based on their survival strategies, they are classified into three main categories. Okay, based on their survival categories, to what categories they are classified ma? Three main categories. First is ephemerals. Ephemerals are also addressed as drought escapers. Okay, ephemerals are also addressed as what? Drought escapers. Succulents are also known as drought avoiders, and non-succulents also known as drought tolerants or resistors. Remember that. Okay. Now we will look into the comparative analysis and highlighting the differences. What are ephemerals actually? Drought escapers, right? They are short-lived annuals whose lifespan completes within one season, especially during rainy season. Fine, right? And succulents, which are drought avoiders, they will store water in specialized tissues like stem, leaf or root in the form of mucilage. Example you can take is phylloclades, right? And then what are non-succulents? These are drought tolerants, drought escapers, drought avoiders, drought tolerants. Here these are perennial xerophytes. They cannot store water anywhere, but they will survive drought by strong structures, be it having sunken stomata in the leaves or leaves reducing to the spines. Okay. As such, they will have strong adaptations where they can tolerate the extreme temperatures throughout their lifetime. Next, second difference you see now. So they survive dry season as dormant seeds. They escape drought by completing the life cycle too early. Succulents are drought avoiders. These are the stems are fleshy and photosynthetic. Example is Opuntia. Next, leaves are fleshy. Example is aloe vera, or spiny. Root succulents, for example, asparagus. Okay. Next, non-succulents, extensive roots for water absorption. They have thick cuticle, reduced leaves and spines. Physiologically, they are active in drought conditions. Next, examples you see over here for ephemerals, Tribulus and argemone. These are the examples for drought escapers. Drought avoiders examples if you see, Opuntia or stem, asparagus, aloe vera or leaf. Asparagus gives you root adaptation, aloe vera where leaves turn to spine, in Opuntia where stem is mucilaginous, which is storing the mucilage or water and minerals. Fine, right? So these are the examples for what? Drought avoiders, those are succulents. Now we will move to drought tolerants, which are non-succulents. So here if you see, examples include Casuarina and Nerium. These are the examples, Casuarina and Nerium. Fine, right? Clear with three differences? You can take a screenshot of this if you want, ma. Take a screenshot of this if you want. Now, list out the anatomical adaptations of hydrophytes. So if you see here, the anatomical adaptations, quite a times asked question, like if you see in August 2022, 2014 and 2013, like long back asked time questions. So here if you see anatomical adaptations of hydrophytes, previously we have seen morphological adaptations, now anatomical adaptations. Cuticle is totally absent in the submerged plants because they should have free gaseous exchange between the either into the plant and out of the plant. Free gaseous exchange should be there. So cells will be very thin walled, aerenchymatous cells only are present. There is no cuticle coating over the cells. Fine, right? Above the epidermis there is no cuticle coating. This is the first and foremost point where you can easily remember. Cuticle is totally absent in submerged parts as there is no danger of water loss. In floating parts, it is very thin or forms fine film. Next, epidermis is usually single layered epidermis. It is usually single layered epidermis and it is composed of thin walled cells. It is composed of what? Thin walled cells. These cells may contain chloroplast and it can also perform photosynthesis and absorption. The next about stomata. Stomata in hydrophytes is epistomatous beta. Stomata in hydrophytes is epistomatous. Remember, whenever you are listing out morphological or anatomical adaptations, strong and accurate 8 points are enough for your short answer type of question. Neat diagram based explanation with strong 8 points without any other things. Okay, accurate answer is enough. Fine, right? See, epistomatus, which is a strong condition, which is a strong anatomical adaptation for hydrophytes, where stomata is absent, it is completely submerged in the leaves, but present only on the upper surface of floating leaves. Okay, stomata here is present on the upper surface of floating leaves, which is addressed as epistomatous condition. Mesophyll tissue in submerged leaves is poorly developed. Okay, mesophyll tissue is poorly developed. Often it consists of thin chlorophyllous cells without differentiation. There is no leaf mesophyll differentiation into palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma. There is no such differentiation. Next, parenchyma will have large intercellular spaces. Parenchyma will be having large intercellular spaces which develops extensively in cortex, petioles and stems. Okay, parenchyma is extensively developed in cortex, petioles and stems, which provides buoyancy and gaseous exchange. Clear, right? Next, mechanical tissues like collenchyma and sclerenchyma are poorly developed or they are absent because water supports the plant body. Vascular bundles are few and reduced in hydrophytes, where xylem is poorly developed since water conduction is not at all required. Okay, while phloem is better developed to translocate food. Remember, when you are explaining about vascular bundles, you mentioned clearly that phloem is well developed, whereas xylem is not at all required. It is underdeveloped or poor developed because xylem requirement for water conduction is minimal in hydrophytes. Next, about leaf anatomy. Submerged leaves are thin, dissected and they lack stomata, while floating leaves are broad, flat with parenchyma and waxy cuticle. Next, stem anatomy. Stems are spongy, soft and hollow with abundant air chambers. Okay, stems are spongy, soft and hollow with abundant air chambers. Epidermis is thin and cuticle is completely absent or very thin. Next, root anatomy. Roots may be absent or poorly developed. If present, they show extensive air chambers. They show extensive air chambers and reduced vascular tissue. Clear, right? Clearly you mentioned whenever you are explaining about morphological or anatomical adaptations, go in a sequence. Either start from root and go till the tip, that is leaf and epidermis, or start from the epidermal region and move to the root anatomy. It is your comfort, but mention in sequence so that you will not miss out any point. Okay, just go through the answer, and if you are having any doubt, just drop a message in chat box, I will be explaining you. Clear till here? Next. Give in detail about the anatomical adaptations in xerophytes. Previously we have dealt with morphological adaptations, now anatomical adaptations in xerophytes. Asked in 2024 and 2017 and 2015 as well. So here if you see, the outer epidermis is thick, it is covered by thick and waxy cuticle, which will minimize and prevents the water loss. Some xerophytes will deposit what crystals? Silica crystals in epidermis cells, and it will give additional rigidity to reduce evaporation. Next, leaves will possess multi-layered epidermis. Multi-layered epidermis is observed in nerium, which acts as a protective barrier against heat and desiccation. Next, stomata are confined mostly to the lower epidermis. In hydrophytes anatomical adaptations, it is epistomatous, where stomata is on the upper surface of the leaf. In xerophytes, stomata is hypostomatous, where stomata is mostly confined to lower epidermis, which is hypostomatous, and often they lie in depressions, which are pits. Okay, this reduces direct exposure to dry air. And then trichomes. Trichomes are hairs around the stomatal pits. They will help to trap moisture and it creates a humid microenvironment during transpiration. Next, collenchyma and sclerenchyma, which is strongly developed. Okay, collenchyma and sclerenchyma is strongly developed, which provides mechanical support and it will prevent wilting under stress. Xylem and phloem are relatively well developed. Xylem vessels transport limited available water efficiently, while phloem will ensure what? Food conduction. Fine, right? And then mesophyll may be differentiated into multiple palisade layers and maximizing photosynthesis even with reduced leaf surface. Clear till here, right, ma? So these are the anatomical adaptations of the xerophytes, sorry. Okay, anatomical adaptations of xerophytes. Clearly you explain it by providing a good diagram with cuticle, okay, hypostomatous condition, fine, right, sunken stomata, and show clear view on the bundle sheets as well, fine, right. So this is about the anatomical adaptations of xerophytes, fine, right. With this, short answer type of questions are done, ma. Now we will move on to very short type of questions. Yeah. So today we will exercise all the VSAQs from Living World. Most of the students will be losing out the marks from VSAQs, okay, because there is no choice given out there. Whoever is thorough with the entire syllabus can only answer the complete VSAQs. So here you see, ma, whatever the areas are there, like the major concepts, even for your MCET and NEET, those are picked and given for your VSAQs in our NW book. Okay. So here if you see, first in Living World, it is about nomenclature. What does ICBN mean, or ICBN stands for? ICBN stands for International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. It provides rules and guidelines for naming plants scientifically. This will ensure uniformity and universal acceptance of plant names worldwide. Okay. So whichever VSAQ you are attempting or attending, give a strong 3 to 4 points in an accurate way. Accurately you give out 3 to 4 points, that will be more than enough. Okay. Fine, right. Your answer should be very accurate, ma, for 2 marks question. If you see flora, flora refers to naturally occurring plant species of a particular region. Okay. For example, if you take desert flora or Himalayan flora as such, it includes details of their habitat, distribution and diversity. Flora acts as a systematic record or index of plants present in that particular area. So, complete information about a single habitat is presented in flora. Remember that, complete information of a single habitat is presented in flora. Now you see, define metabolism and differentiate between anabolism and catabolism. Fine, right. So here if you observe differences between anabolism and catabolism, process of building complex molecules from simpler ones is anabolism. Catabolism, breaking of complex molecules into simpler ones. Here you see, energy is used or consumed in anabolism, energy is released in catabolism. Best example if you can take for anabolism is photosynthesis, and catabolism it is respiration. Clear till here, ma? Yeah. Next question, if you observe, what is the largest botanical garden in the world? Name a few well-known botanical gardens in India. Largest botanical garden in the world is what? Royal Botanical Garden, that is Kew in England, right? Next, it is renowned for vast collection of plant species and research contributions. In India, famous botanical gardens will include the NBG, National Botanical Garden Lucknow, and IBG, that is Indian Botanical Garden Howrah. Mention that properly about Royal Botanical Garden, National Botanical Garden and Indian Botanical Garden with the locations. That is very important. Okay. Next. Define the terms couplet and let in a taxonomic key. What is a key? Taxonomic key, it is used to identify and classify the organism based on their characteristics. What is a couplet? A pair of contrasting statements or a pair of contrasting characters that are presented, which will help in easy identification of the organisms. What is couplet? It is pair of contrasting characters. Taxonomic key, it is used to identify, it is a single statement, okay, to identify the characteristics. A lead is each alternative choice in a couplet that directs the next step or final identification. What is a key, couplet and lead? Just explain it in a single line, that will be enough. Next, what is meant by manuals and monographs? Complete taxonomic aids are important for VACQs. Manual is a book or guide that provides information for identification and classification of species which are found in a particular region. Monograph is detailed or comprehensive account of a specific taxon like species, genus and family. Fine, right? Next, manuals give a broad view, overview of many species, whereas monographs will focus on in-depth study of a single group. Fine, right? This is the total information of manuals and monographs. What is systematics? Systematics is a branch of biology which is used to deal with diversity of organisms considering their evolutionary relationships. You can also add on this. Systematics is nothing but taxonomy along with the evolutionary relationships. What are the components of taxonomy, ma? Characterization, identification, classification and nomenclature. Okay, these are the components of taxonomy. Along with this, if you are also considering out evolutionary relationships, then that is addressed as systematics. It involves identification, nomenclature, classification of organisms in a scientific manner. Systematics will provide a strong framework to understand evolutionary history and relationships among different groups of organisms. This will give out the relationships among different groups of organisms. Why are living organisms classified? Why are they classified? Living organisms will show enormous diversity. They will show enormous diversity in form, structure, function and making direct study difficult. Classification groups organisms based on their similarities and differences, making their studies more systematic and organized. It helps in easy identification, comparison and understanding of evolutionary relationships. Okay, this is all about classification. Why we are classifying living organisms. What is basic unit of classification? We know basic unit of classification is species. Okay, the basic taxon or the basic rank in the taxonomic hierarchy is species. So here a species is defined as group of organisms which share similar morphological and genetic features which can interbreed to produce fertile offsprings. Examples you take: Homo sapiens, human; Pantherolio, lion; Mangifera indica, mango. Next, give the scientific name of mango, identify generic name and specific epithet. The scientific name of mango is what? Mangifera indica, written in italics and capitalized with species capitalized with lowercase. In this name, Mangifera represents generic name, indica represents the specific epithet. Here it should be small, right? Indicating the species within the genus. Very simple. Next, what is growth? Differentiate growth in living organisms and non-living things. We know growth is what, no? Growth is a characteristic feature, not defining feature at all. Growth is a characteristic feature. Growth can be classified into intrinsic growth and extrinsic growth. Intrinsic growth is observed in living organisms. Extrinsic growth is observed in non-living objects. Intrinsic growth, where growth is internal and this occurs by cell division as well as cell differentiation. Extrinsic growth, which is external, this is just caused by deposition of materials on the surface. Example is crystal formation and sand deposition. Next, biological classification chapter. Okay, I hope the complete VSAQs from Living World is clear, right? So what are the concepts that are highlighted? One is on nomenclature, most importantly taxonomic aids, okay, and about lead, couplet, key, after which about taxonomic category, most importantly systematics. These are the concepts which are covered for VSAQ domain from living world. Okay. Now we will move on to biological classification. Okay. Just go through this one. Here we go. What is the nature of living, what is the nature of cell walls and diatoms? In diatoms, cell wall consists of two overlapping shells. Upper shell is addressed as epitheca and lower one is hypotheca. Both the layers will fit into like a soap box like structures. The epitheca is slightly larger while hypotheca is smaller and it fits inside. The walls are impregnated, the walls hypotheca and epitheca, they are impregnated with silica, making them rigid and indestructible. How viroids different from viruses? Viroids and viruses, composition you see, they contain only RNA as genetic material. Viruses contain both DNA and RNA with protein coat. Structure, which is very small, simple and it lacks protein coat. Viruses large, more complex with nucleic acid and protein capsid. Example you see, viroids, protein spindle tuber, and viruses example tobacco mosaic virus. Fine, right? And if you can add on, like you can also add on like who discovered viroids ma? Theodyneir. Who discovered viruses, that also you can add about virus discovery. Fine, right? What do terms phycobiont and mycobiont classify? Phycobiont is what? Algal component of lichen. Mycobiont is fungal component of lichen. Nutrition is autotrophic, which prepares food by photosynthesis. Mycobiont heterotrophic, which absorbs water and minerals and it will provide shelter. Phycobiont supplies carbohydrates to association. Mycobiont which offers protection and anchorage to algae. What do the terms algal blue and red tide signify? See, all differences only, where you have to give out a strong tabulated explanation. 2 to 3 points is more than enough for VSAQs. So, algal bloom is because of excessive growth of cyanobacteria in stagnant and polluted water. Red tides is by rapid multiplication of dinoflagellates. This is caused due to eutrophication. This is because sudden population explosion of dinoflagellates. What is the effect that it is giving? Surface scum, depletion of oxygen and water pollution. What is it giving? Discolored seawater and red. It releases toxins which are harmful to fishes. Examples here you see Microsis, Anabina and Oscillatoria. Here the examples include Goniolax and Nautiluca. Next. State 2 economically important uses of heterotrophic bacteria. Okay, heterotrophic bacteria like lactobacillus, this is used in curd formation by converting milk lactose to lactic acid. Okay, they help in nitrogen fixation in legumes. Okay, best example is rhizobium, which is enriching soil fertility. Some heterotrophic bacteria are used in fermentation and industry. For example, production of vinegar, antibiotics and enzymes. What is the principle underlying the use of cyanobacteria in agriculture and crop improvement? Some cyanobacteria, they have special enzyme. Here you have to highlight the enzymes. Okay, they have dinitrogenase which helps in fixing atmospheric nitrogen. Nitrogen fixation occurs in specialized cells. Those cells are known as heterocysts, which enrich the soil. Examples include nostoc, Anabina. They are widely used in paddy fields. Clear till here ma? And then plants are autotrophic. Name some plants which are partially heterotrophic. Most plants are autotrophic, but some are partially heterotrophic due to nutrient deficiency in their habitat. Some plants are insectivorous, which traps insects to supplement nitrogen and other minerals. Examples include Diania, Venus flytrap, Utricularia, bladderwort, Nepenthes, pitcher plant. Fine, right? These are the examples. Then, who proposed 5 kingdom system of classification? How many kingdoms of this classification will contain eukaryotes? Plant kingdom classification was proposed by whom? R.H. Whittaker in the year 1969. This system will classify organisms into Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and Animalia. And then out of these 4 kingdoms are eukaryotes only, from Protista to Animalia. These 4 will be eukaryotes. Fungi is the new kingdom introduced in 5 kingdom system of classification by R.H. Whittaker. Clear till here, right? Then give the main criteria used for classification by Whittaker. The main criteria for Whittaker's classification will be 5 main criteria. One is cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationships. That's it. It is just a 2-marker question. Whatever question is asked, mention the answer clearly, it will be enough. Name the 2 diseases of mycoplasma. One is pleuropneumonia in cattle. In humans, mycoplasma, which causes mycoplasmal urethritis. Last question, what are slime molds? Explain what is meant by plasmodium with reference to slime mold. During favorable conditions, slime molds will extend their false feet and they will grow completely. That complete extension of slime mold is addressed as what? Plasmodium. That you explain in detailed way, like slime molds are saprophytic protists which feed on decaying organic matter. They have multinucleated mass of protoplasm which are surrounded by plasma membrane, but they lack cell wall. Under suitable conditions, individual cells of slime molds, they will aggregate to form long multinucleated structures called as plasmodium. During unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium develops fruiting bodies that produce spores for survival and reproduction. This is the detailed note on slime molds. So, we are here done with what? VSAQs of living world and biological classification. The soft copy of the complete IPE book is available, which is completely for free of cost to all the students who are going to attempt the IPE 2026. Only thing you have to do is follow us on Instagram and our websites like Instagram and YouTube. Go to our website, okay, download the app MedWorld, just say hi in the chat box and you will be given all the 4 soft copies of your IPE, okay, for botany, zoology, physics and chemistry, which is a golden opportunity to all the students who are going to write the exam this year. Make use of it, okay. The book is completely for free, where the book is well crafted, well designed with all the long, short VSAQs and complete blueprint with complete questions are given in the book, okay. So, look into it accordingly. Fine, right now. So, that's all for today's session and thank you.